Would you like to tell a little about your background and what led forward towards your political activism?
It's a long history. I can say that I began this to be politically involved in my youth. I was a student, and you know that in Brazil the social situation is not very just, no justice. We have big inequality. So we have big part of the population living under miserable conditions, and a smaller part of the population living in a very exceptional richness. Big inequality. And half of the country is in a situation of poverty. That's very, in the point of view of...
Which part of the population did you belong to?
Which part of?
Were you one of the poorer ones, or which society class did you belong to
Myself,
when you grew up? Yes.
I could say the middle class, because we have a middle class there also, but a little middle class. You have the rich people, middle class, little middle class, and then big proportion of poor people. I am middle class because I am even, it was possible for me to go to the university. Poor people sometimes do not finish the elementary degree. And this, for us students, when I was young man, many people awakened us, because it's also a very accepted situation for the middle class and for rich people. It's like this. People think that's natural. They have many arguments for this, but the facts. But many people say also, no, it's not just. We must work to change this. This message I received as young man. Then naturally I began to participate in political activities to try to change this. And then the life has many things. This was years 50, in 1950. I came to São Paulo, that's the biggest city in Brazil. I was from a city inside the country to do the university, to enter the university. From this on, I began many activities, and more or less in '64, all the movements that tried to change the country were smashed by military putsch in '64. I was at this moment I was working in the planning of the land reform. It's a very hot question in Brazil, because the question of property, the question of inequality, and so on. So I was 2 years after the putsch, I was obliged to leave Brazil, and I lived 15 years outside Brazil as exiled. I did first in France and then in Chile, and Chile was at the moment where Allende was elected. I saw all this. I was there when another putsch, military putsch. After this, I returned to France, and I came to Brazil again only in the '80s. And then I was engaged in many works, naturally. And even in 1988, '89, I was elected municipal councillor in São Paulo, in my city, during 6 years. Then after this, after 2 mandates, 8 years, after 2 mandates, I began to work in the Brazilian Commission on Justice and Peace. That's linked to the Catholic Church. Brazilian Bishops' Conference, they have a lay people commission, and I was executive secretary of this commission. And it was in this condition that I was engaged in the World Social Forum process. I was representing, I was representing this commission in the organizing committee in 2001, the first World Social Forum. And from then on, I'm also not only doing this, but I'm very engaged in the World Social Forum process.